Recently, the internet sent me halfway across the world. The story of how I got to Istanbul, Turkey, is still a story that I'm wrapping my head around. It was such a serendipitous combination of circumstances that allowed for this strange happenstance opportunity. Let me just rewind a little bit and I'll tell you all about it. Last September, I started making talking head videos. I looked into a camera, had a mic set up, and I just spoke. I was trying to demonstrate to my marketing clients a certain style of social media content that they could use to communicate their expertise. Eventually, one video in particular hit a lot more views than I anticipated. 6.3 million views equated to about 12,000 new followers. Now, the funny thing about social media is when you have more followers, people tend to think that you're a little more important than you actually are. And this illusion of importance is what gives the influencer their influence. Look, Mo, I'm an influencer. I started getting a lot of interesting DMs after that happened. People either were trying to sell me something, get hired by me, or they were trying to send me free stuff. In marketing speak, we call that leveraging an audience. One reel in particular, I'm going to assume, is what inspired this whole journey to kind of happen. And you use meditation to grow your hair back. Dr. Joe Dispenza, who has this idea that if you meditate, you can create emotional states that trigger the same epigenetic changes as changes in your environment. I'm gonna experiment and see if I can grow that hairline back. Yeah, spoiler alert, that didn't work. But that one clickbaity video did something very, very important for me. It made people realize that I was bald. Not only was I bald, but my baldness seeped so deeply into my subconscious that it inspired me to make social media content about it. And what better market opportunity in the universe would there be for someone who is marketing your hair regrowth products? All of a sudden, I was getting messages from all these organic oils that were made from whole ingredients, these chemical-free hair regrowth, Rogaine alternatives. I even got some. I even put some of this peppermint oil on my head. That was a whole experience. None of them really worked as well as I would hope, and I got sick of putting stuff on my head. So I just kind of gave up on it. Then one day, I get this message from this guy, Dr. Guncel Ozturk. Hello, Anthony. I am Dr. Guncel Ozturk, a European board-certified plastic surgeon in Turkey, Istanbul. I have come across your page and really enjoyed your videos and the way you expressed yourself. It is unique, I must admit. I have a VIP hair transplant clinic called Hairneva, where we perform hair transplant procedures and would like to do a collaboration with you if you'd be up to it. I'll be awaiting your reply. All the best. No fucking way. I'm gonna skip the part where I pretend that I thought it through before saying yes and jumping on the first plane I could to Istanbul. My first introduction to Turkish hospitality was getting picked up by a private limo. How the hell did this happen? I gotta make more internet videos. By the time I got there, it was nightfall. I hadn't eaten all day or all night, whatever time zone it was, so I headed to the first local restaurant I could. I started with a lamb and rice soup, and then moved on to their specialty, a kokoreç pide. Pide is kind of like a Turkish pizza, if you can imagine that, and kokoreç is sheep intestine wrapped around sweetbread and grilled over an open fire. When I ordered it, the waiter kind of looked at me like, rubbed his stomach and said, dude, you know you're gonna eat sheep guts. Can your delicate American palate handle that? It could, and I am still thinking about kokoreç to this day. I'm obsessed. Now, I didn't realize it, but the table in front of me would notice me drinking this tea alone, invite me over to join them, pay my bill, and then drag me all over Istanbul.
Very good doorman. You know what he say?
What do you say?
He say, I was waiting for you. 3 people. Yes, come. Brother, these are everywhere. Bar. Every street.
I'm from Canada. You're very good man, brother.
My new Turkish friends exposed me to the most bizarre nightlife experience I've had to date, complete with finger foods, not being allowed to do anything the servers could do for you, solicitations from hookers, fermented beet and red cabbage shooters, and getting shaken down by the security guards for a tip.
And pay in American dollars, please.
I know better than to get 2 hours of sleep the night before a frickin' surgery. Well, at least the only thing I drank was fermented beet juice. Okay, no regrets. Let me walk you through what a hair transplant at Hairneva actually looks like. You sign a waiver, make sure that all liability is cleared, then you get some basic vitals and blood work done to make sure you're healthy enough for the procedure.
I got big veins, it's easy to find.
Their photo team will take a before picture so that you have a reference, and then you sit down with one of their doctors for the assessment. They want to determine what parts of your head have the highest density of hair to use as a donor site. They're going to be taking those hairs from that part of your head and moving them to another part of your head. This is equal measures science and art, as the personal taste and experience of the doctor informs where your new hairline is going to be. As for the actual surgery, there's only one painful part at the beginning where anesthetic needles are dug deep into your scalp, rendering you unable to feel the rest of the procedure. One by one, tiny biopsies of tissue surrounding hair follicles are painstakingly extracted and then meticulously sorted and prepared by a medical team to later be implanted into the other parts of your head. The process lasts several hours, as there's no way to rush through each individual hair being dug out for relocation. You simply have to do one at a time. Dr. Gunshil stopped in to meet me and check in on his exceptional medical staff just to make sure that everything was going smooth. I may have been face down with a bloody dome, but it was really nice to meet him. While I was passed out in the medical chair from jet-lagged exhaustion, the team at Hairneva demonstrated their patience and their precision, planting each of the thousands of follicles in my new hairline individually. This is just another day in the life for them. They've performed hundreds, if not thousands, of these procedures, and the efficiency, medical-grade sanitation, and artistry of their craft came through in how well they handled turning my head into what resembled a chia pet. It was through and through a professional, impressive orchestration of teamwork from each member at the clinic. I got cleaned up and was told to rest, but given my limited time here, I couldn't resist venturing into the city with my diaper-wrapped head to try and find some of the street foods I'd seen on my first night. I wandered alone through the winding, narrow cobblestone roads of Istanbul at midnight, trying to retrace my steps to find the neighborhood I'd seen all the things that I was now desperate to try. First on the list was wet burgers, steamed, messy, saucy burgers enjoyed at all hours of day and night by hungry locals.
Very, very good. Yeah. Oh my god.
The wet burger proposes an interesting idea. What if instead of putting the sauce on the burger, we just put it all over the bun? It's messy, it's unwieldy, and it's delicious. Now, I was informed on my first night that despite common belief, kebab is not the go-to food that locals gravitate to after a night at the bars. It's actually steamed mussels with fresh lemon, usually shelled and eaten right at the kiosk they're served. These mussels, however, are stuffed with rice and seasoning, giving them a hearty, incredibly satisfying texture. The fresh lemon is definitely essential to this experience. Of course, as soon as I saw the kokoreç grilling over the fire, pancreas, thymus gland, all manner of Turkish spices wrapped up in a tornado of sheep intestine, I had to get it again. This time I tried it on a large toasted bun, and it didn't matter if I ate this on a pide or as a sandwich. I cannot explain to you why I love this stuff so much. There's a joke / not really a joke that the reason Turkey doesn't join the EU is because they wouldn't be allowed to serve kokoreç anymore. I don't blame them. Even if it's 3 a.m., you can still cleanse your palate with any manner of fresh produce that you can procure at the various fruit stands in the streets. I personally became slightly addicted to these tiny sour green plums, a perfect way to end an otherwise incredible evening of amazing street food.
Alright, you want to see the funniest thing? What?
Here we go!
Is that? What the f?
After you spend a night all wrapped up from surgery, the Hairneva team doesn't just send you on your way to fend for yourself. They have a whole aftercare procedure that they walk you through, complete with a huge kit of aftercare products, disinfectants, shampoos, serums, and creams. They clean you up one more time, and then you're free to go.
Thank you so much. This was great.
So what's our plan today?
First off, we're gonna go visit Sultan Ahmed. There's a palace over there. Afterwards, I'm gonna make you to try some Turkish meatballs. It's special for this area, actually.
Where are we now?
I don't know. Where are we now? Tell me. Umut can tell us. Where are we now?
We are here in Sultan Ahmed right now. I'm going to take the Anthony to Topkapı Palace first.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna love it. Bro, you're gonna see like there are like swords.
Yes, there were swords. Lots and lots of swords from a breadth of time periods and from different cultures. The entire place was loaded with historical artifacts. Topkapi Palace was the first Ottoman palace built after Sultan Mehmed II had conquered Constantinople. It's one of the world's largest surviving palaces and housed over 30 ruling sultans over its history, each generation adding and expanding to its unique art and architecture, featuring Islamic, European, and Ottoman influences.
Here we are with my Italian friend. He's here to reconquer Istanbul and turn it to Constantinople again. And I'll help him.
The palace now serves as a museum housing impressive holy relics, the arm and skull fragments of St. John the Baptist, the staff of Moses used to part the Red Seas, beard hairs, sandals, swords, and other personal effects belonging to the Prophet Muhammad. While it's hard to confirm the authenticity of relics like these, it still inspires a sense of how profoundly religious history has shaped our world. There's a decorum and artistry to every corner of this well-preserved palace, dripping with the extravagance of aristocracy and an attention to detail that has perhaps been lost to antiquity. Here is a place that's easy to get lost in a whirlwind of wonderment, marveling at both beauty and the vastness of the tapestry of human history.
Water and some salt. Yeah. So it's salty. So it's not for everyone.
That's good. No, it's good. No, it's just really refreshing. It's really nice.
That's what we drink here with döner all the time. But the problem is that it makes you a little bit sleepy.
Sleepy.
Yeah.
Why?
Not sure. I've never researched that actually.
Your house inside one.
Why you don't eat this pepper?
It's not good for your head after you get the transplant.
Yeah.
I love spicy food, but apparently it's gonna. We can still eat these. Okay, so we're on the ferry, and where are we headed?
Okay, so now we are going to the Asian side. We are crossing the Bosphorus. There's a famous restaurant here with local food, top notch. I want you to try that today, okay?
Okay, what's it called?
It's Tavacı Recep Usta. It's not that famous like the Salt Bee guys, but it's much better.
Okay, yeah.
I still felt a little caught up by how surreal this entire experience had been. A week prior, I'd been home in Canada, barefoot in the mountains, podcasting and getting lost in my work days. A day prior, I'd been face down, anesthetized, and being turned into a pincushion with my own hair follicles. Now I'm being chaperoned around Istanbul and being taken to some of the most beautiful, interesting, culturally rich scenes that I couldn't have dreamt up even if I tried. The most surprising part for me was how well I was getting along with the guys who had brought me out here. I think part of them must have been expecting some sort of uppity influencer that they were going to have to drag around like a tourist, but I felt a strong sense of friendship and camaraderie with each of them very quickly after spending some time.
It's Morgan Freeman.
Oh, this is great. I am very, very excited for this.
Now, I don't know what I did in a past life to deserve being fed the food that I was fed at this meal, but this was a life-changing feast.
What's it called?
Çiğ köfte.
Çiğ
Like
köfte?
raw meatball. It's called.
We were brought the most incredible spread of food, warm pita, fresh pomegranate salad, and of course, stuffed sheep guts. Vinegary pickled tang, sweet, salty, sour, and savory, bouncing from bite to bite, the rich aroma of roasted garlic and braised meat. It was an onslaught of tastes and textures where the only thing you could really complain about was how hard it was to decide what you wanted to try next. You would reset with sips of ayran, that palate-cleansing fermented pucker. It was perfect.
Damn. Look at that. Thank you. That's awesome.
I'm fairly certain that there wasn't a single dish, from appetizer to main courses all the way to dessert, that I'd ever tried before in my life, save for maybe baklava, but I'd never eaten baklava in Turkey. I looked around at the table of my mutually stuffed, satisfied compatriots and smiled at the universal signature of the Turkish post-meal ritual: tea and cigarettes.
So we just ate at a restaurant called one more time. So we just ate at a restaurant called Recep Usta, which was amazing. It's traditional Turkish food. We had some lamb neck, we had braised lamb, a lot of lamb. I like lamb, and so do the people of Turkey. I was really, really stoked about it. A lot of grilled meats. We had some stuffed intestine, really strange foods that North Americans would kind of run and turn tail from, but I just can't help but love. Baklava for dessert, strange desserts that I'd never heard of, made with like a very, very fine pasta and a special type of dessert cheese. The service was incredible, as you could probably see in the video. The food here is amazing. The people here are amazing. Everything here is amazing. If you want to experience Turkish food, this is where to do it. That's a wrap. These guys took me on the adventure of a lifetime through Istanbul. We went to palaces of the Byzantine and Ottoman Empire, some of the most incredible history that the city has to offer. We ate the best food that I could have ever imagined eating in Turkey. You guys really made me fall in love with your city. And of course, none of this could have happened without the guy behind the camera. Special thanks to this guy right here for filming the entire adventure. You guys are amazing. Thank you for everything that you did.
My journey did not end there though. I jumped on another plane and flew out to the coastal city of Alanya to meet up with my friend Mustafa, where he was generous enough to host me at his family home.
What are we eating? We're having Turkish style liver, sauteed liver, Turkish style rice, some greens with yogurt and sesame seeds. Some beans, they're close to garbanzo beans but different types. Some real fermented yogurt.
I have to give a shout out to Mustafa's mom for cooking this meal. I've never eaten liver and actually enjoyed it, but this time I even asked for seconds. All the food I ate in Turkey is incredibly fresh, and especially in Alanya, locally grown. Mustafa's family owns gardens and farms where they grow their own olives, avocados, bananas, and more. The story of how we met is kind of interesting. About a year prior, I'd gotten a message from him on Instagram saying that he listened to our Art of Move podcast. He was going to be coming out to Canada to visit an old family friend, and he asked if he could meet up with Will and I and go for a hike. We did exactly that, spending a day trekking through mountainous forest trails, talking about everything from biomechanics to politics to spirituality and beyond. It was an amazing day, and before he left, he told us that if we ever visited Turkey, then we'd have to come visit him. Since the serendipitous tides of fate brought me to his country, I did not turn down the opportunity to go seek him out. Since both of us are rabidly enthusiastic about exploring the outdoors, we maintained our tradition of hiking together. Mubi took me across mountainsides lined with the walls of an old Roman-era castle, scrambling and scaling our way around cliffs to explore old forts occupied only by goats and peering over oceanic scenic vistas.
Yeah, those are the party boats.
Old school.
Both the natural landscape and the historic architecture were in constant competition for my sense of awe and wonderment. The hike and scenery alone was its own inherent reward, but after a long day in the Turkish sun, there was nothing more gratifying, refreshing, and enjoyable than fresh orange and pomegranate juice from fruits grown from the same area. Mustafa took me to one of his family gardens where there was a lush abundance of produce including grapes, olives, and other herbs.
If you can guess these, just touch them. Smell. Basil.
This is not basil.
It's a different type.
It's a type of basil?
Yeah. It's that big.
There was an ease and naturalness to my time in Turkey. Sitting back in the garden and appreciating the lush abundance of the land while listening to the rain on the roof was a kind of peace I'd never felt before. All the vegetation had a geometric beauty that really spoke to me, and I even got to take some back with me, a gargantuan bundle of rosemary that I ended up smuggling back to Canada. The food in Turkey is exceptional, but the one thing I realized was that the quality of all my meals was contingent on the company that I got to share it with. Alanya showed me many shades of life here, the culture and hospitality of its people, a spirit of national pride, including hints of political stress and controversy. I flew back to Istanbul, and before my flight home, I went to go meet up with my friends for one last night together in the city. We started at Galata Tower, used throughout the ages by Romans, Genoese, Venetians, and Ottomans alike. It's most known for as the tower that Hazargen Ahmed Celebi attempted to use a handmade set of wings to fly from the top of the tower all the way to Üsküdar. The legends say that he actually succeeded, but we'll never really know for sure, will we?
How's that?
So many mosques here.
Whenever I'm nearing the end of a trip, my mind hones in on each step I take, painfully aware that I'm walking closer and closer to this moment fading away, where its only trace of existence remains as a distant imprint on my memories. That and I guess an inappropriately long video that will be immortalized on social media, but even that will eternally pale in comparison to the brilliant unfolding of the now in front of me. That said, my melancholy sentiments towards the ever-marching flow of time and the ephemeral present moment can be quelled temporarily by potatoes. Stuffed potatoes are a pretty common form of fast food over here. It kind of feels like a heartier, healthier version of the DIY customization offered at a Subway. These potato slingers, unlike their sandwich artist counterparts, are actually serving fresh food though, with no real processed ingredients to speak of. A variety of salads, pickled vegetables, yogurts, handmade sauces are all available to serve over top a steaming, freshly baked potato served right out of the oven. The last thing that I ate in Istanbul to complete my street food circuit were fresh, roasted chestnuts.
The nice view, huh?
It's hot, I think.
Taste it, man.
My life feels stranger than fiction sometimes, sitting here with new friends who were days ago strangers in another country, being brought together by the common bond of what, hair transplants and Instagram? The sequence of events that had to conspire to have this exact moment happen feels so auspicious, I can't help but feel surrendered to the absurd unpredictability of life. To Dr. Gunchel and the entire team at Hairneva, to Umut, to Khan, to all my friends who I met out there, thank you so much for giving me the time of my life, and of course a new hairline.